afternoon, everybody. It's Keith Belt, the Dirty Salford rep, coming to you again. We're out here today playing in the dirt and getting dirty, talking about two of our workhorses in our Salford vertical tillage product line, the I-1200 and 2200. But we've been building the independent Coulter tool for almost 20 years. Back in the early 2000s, Salford started developing and producing a product called the 570 RTS. The 570 was very similar to the tools we have here today, but quite different as well. The I-1200 is the great-grandchild of the 570 in the sense that there's a lot of heritage here, but there's a lot of new and improved concepts. The 570 introduced the Coulter, which allowed us to mount the blades independently so that we get better product or crop flow and residue flow throughout the machine. Plus, it allows us to do true vertical tillage utilizing the wavy Coulter design, whether it's the 13-wave or the 8-wave Coulter. The 570 entered the market on a 7 to 7.5 inch spacing. And as the demand for vertical tillage increased and the chemical resistant weeds also increased in the marketplace, the desire and need for more aggressive vertical tillage paths became apparent, and we started developing the I-1200. Likewise, along those years, the use of BT, genetically modified corn, also became more and more popular and predominant in the marketplace. So residue became tougher to process, so the demand for a more aggressive and heavier tool became apparent, and therefore we developed the I-2200. The I-2200 from a distance is very hard to tell apart from an I-1200, as you can see. Both of them are utilizing the same technology that was developed on the earlier machines. Now, one of the things with Salford products that kind of gets in everybody's craw a little bit and makes dealers' lives a little bit frustrating is that we rode that 570 horse for many years. Right around 2011 to 2012, 13-ish, we started transitioning to the new and improved model, the I-1200. At that time, it was still called the 570. We knew right then we need to draw a line in the sand. So what we did in 2013, we went to the Independent Series. So this is an I, which stands for Independent Series, referring to the independently mounted Coulter. So in some markets and in some soil types where highly erodible ground is a norm, the 7.5 inch spacing is still preferred. That's all they want. So very simply, we sat down and we said, okay, we got all these different models, but yet in their same family, how are we going to do this to try to separate so that it makes it easier on the customer and the dealer? So when you're looking at an I series, the first two models tells you the family, and the second number will tell you basically the Coulter spacing. So on a I series 1100, for instance, that's an independent series, independently mounted Coulters. The 1100 says it's a small Coulter with a 20-inch blade on 7.5 inch centers. Then when you see the 1200, that tells you, hey, that's the same coil, same cutter, but it's on 5.5 inch centers, or 5 inch centers, excuse me. Other than that, they're very, very similar. The frames are a little bit heavier duty on the 1200 to handle the extra weight of the coils because we're putting more coils on there, right? However, the coils are the same, the Coulters are the same, pretty much everything else is identical. Now, stepping over here to the 2200, this is where we tried to keep it as simple as possible. Now, when you see this, you know it's an I-series, independent, because it's independently mounted Coulters. The 2 will tell you right off the bat, it's a heavier duty version. It's got the bigger coil, and it'll have 22-inch diameter blades. That'll also tell you in the second digit, the spacing. If it's got a 2, that means that this unit is a 2200 set on 5 inch centers. If it's got a 1, that means that it's a heavy duty version, but it's set on 7.5 inch centers. So we make an I-2200 and an I-2100. The difference being, one is on 5-inch centers, the 2200, and one is on 7.5-inch centers, the 2100. So that's it in a nutshell. Now, when we start talking differences between the I-12 and the I-22, they're very significant, very significant. Not only are the cutters different, because on the I-1200 we have a 4-bolt hub, and the blades, when they're brand new, are 20 inches in diameter. Conversely, on the I-2200, even though they look the same, these are 5-bolt hubs, and the blades from the factory are originally 22 inches in diameter. So when you're looking at these tools, it's driving down the road, or maybe it's on a dealer's lot, if you don't know the differences, it can be kind of confusing. Likewise, maybe you've had a tool for many years, and you know how it is in the heat of battle when you run into the dealership and you're saying, I need a bearing for my Salford. Well, or, what Salford do you have? Well, I don't know, it's a Salford. It's an RTS, which we hadn't built for 10 years. Or it's it's a Salford I-Series. Well, we only build 4 or 5 different models of the I-Series tools. So this will help you kind of narrow it down and clue yourself in quicker. Another good point is on the serial number plate. Our serial number plate will have the model number and the serial number. And when you're looking at a Salford tool, the first 2 digits of the serial number will tell you the year of production, and then the last 3 will tell you when in the production year it was built. So 2014, and then it was 707. Something else that a lot of people, when they're starting to purchase or going through the decision-making process to purchase an I-Series tool, is I really like what I hear about the 2200 versus the 1200. But why? Look at these 2 tools. They're similar in a lot of ways. But one thing I want to point out is that all of our tools, whether it's a 1200, 1100, a 2100, 2200, 41, 4200, is the frame construction. Now this unit, like I said, is the little brother to the 2200 sitting right next to it. But all the frame is still constructed out of 4x6 tubing, all the way throughout. The other thing that we do that's been to our credit is we include in base equipment on all the mainframe tires on these tools 305, 22.5 semi entry-level semi tires, highway rated tires. These are highway rated tires, ladies and gentlemen. And what that means is that as we travel up and down the highway more and more every year, we realize that the standard implement tire that was available in the industry just wasn't cutting it. So we made the decision very early on to design our frames to handle not only the rigors and the abuse that it sees in the field, but also for the highway. And we started putting in heavy-duty hubs and heavy-duty tires in the main frames on these machines. So 4x6 tubing, thick wall, heavy-duty transport tires, that's just part of it. The independent coil technology, I just can't say enough about. The I-Series tool proved itself early on. These tools cut their teeth in the rock country up in Indiana, Ohio, Canada. They designed from early on to be the most survivable and the most effective tool in those adverse conditions. They also allowed it to do what other tools couldn't do at the time and still can't do today. And that is, every cutter has the opportunity to cut residue and till dirt without affecting the cutter beside it. So, whether you're going through the field and you're hitting rock, or you're hitting chunks of wood, or you're hitting piles and piles of cornstalk residue or bean residue, it's only affecting that coil that's hitting it. It's not affecting the rest of the machine. And if you find a Salford customer, stop and ask him, what do you love about your Salford tool? And he'll start going down a list. And one of the things is that I can run that tool in conditions I never could run my other tools in, and I can run it harder and faster than I could ever run any other tool I ever had before. And they just take the abuse and keep on going. And a lot of that's due to our design, and we take a lot of pride in that. Let's step over here and talk about our I-22. Now the I-22 is the big brother to the 1200. The obvious thing that'll pop out to you when you start walking around and looking at it is that, as I said real quick, the heavier duty versions have 5-bolt hubs with 22-inch diameter blades. It's just bigger. Now it can still be on 7.5-inch spacing, which is our I-2100, or it can be on 5-inch spacing, which is our I-2200. The two in the second position designating the spacing of the cutter. This socket is the same diameter as our I-1100 and 1200 Coulter. That's 1.25 inches from here to there. I measured it and made sure. That's the difference. That's where we start out with the Coulter, first generation. This is the same diameter. Actually, it's a little bit smaller. I couldn't find a socket in my toolbox that was the exact diameter. The diameter on the Coulter 2 is 1 5/8 inches. Now, I'm great at getting dirty, but I'm terrible at math. But look at that, folks. 1 1/4 inches, 1 5/8 inches. What that lets us do is put more power to the point of the blade when it's making contact with residue and hard dirt. It gives us more ability to keep that blade in position when it's going through the field at high speed. But it still gives us the characteristics that we fell in love with and developed on purpose with the original Coulter. Every blade's independent of the other blade next to it. When this blade hits a rock or a piece of wood, it doesn't affect the other blades or the rest of the machine. It only affects this blade. Something else that you'll hear me talk about if you come see me or call me up on the phone is that this thing has a phenomenon about it that we call the jackhammer effect. And that's only found on the Salford I-Series tools with Coulter Coulters. The jackhammer effect is that Coulter's mounted on a ginormous spring. So what the jackhammer effect is that when that blade's rotating through the soil profile, that spring Coulter, as it runs over obstacles, is bounding and rebounding thousands of times per second. And that's impacting the compacted soil layers beneath that blade. And that jackhammer effect is just like a jackhammer on a concrete slab. When you're going through the field, because of that rolling design with the rolling cutters and that spring coil, it's fracturing. Now you may not see it. It may be hard to find. But just like on a concrete slab, when you hit it with a jackhammer or a sledgehammer, and then you take a 5-gallon bucket of water and dump on it, see the fractured lines going out from that impact zone. And that's what happens with the Salford I-Series. That's an inherent characteristic that comes with that Coulter design. And you can ask customers throughout North America and the world that's got the I-Series tools, and they'll testify to that fact. That's why you have less compaction behind our tools, you have better water absorption behind these tools versus the disc style, the compact disc style, or field cultivators, because there is no shear layer. And we're actually through the process of the jackhammering with these independent coils, breaking up those sub-layer compaction zones. I got a little bit more to go. I appreciate you bearing with me this long, but hang in there just a little bit longer. Because the other thing I'm going to talk to you about on the 2200 is that this is where the excitement begins. And you say, what do you mean? What are you so excited about? Well, the 2200 platform is not only the big brother to the 1200, but it's also our platform where we can start adding attachments and accessories. And some of them are huge. I'm talking game changer. Nick McCormick's got his 2200 set up with 30-inch. We offer them in two different configurations. And what I'm talking about is our hydraulic switchblade kit. And what that is that is a shank system that's mounted in the tool that is able to be hydraulically retracted with this hydraulic cylinder. And you can get them installed only on the 2200. They come in two different versions. We have the 30-inch spacing, like you see here on Nick's machine, which allows him to do anhydrous ammonia. And as you notice right now, he's got it equipped with a 2.5-inch chrome cast reversible chisel point. So, what's that mean? How come that's such a big deal to you, Keith Belt? Well, I'll tell you. That takes a vertical tillage tool that's on 5-inch centers. It's already expensive to begin with. But now you've just took it from a vertical tillage tool to a nutrient applicator or a more intensive tillage device. And like I said, it doesn't just stop on 30-inch centers. We also offer a 15-inch spacing hydraulic switchblade kit that you can do anhydrous ammonia or liquid fertilizer on 15-inch centers, or put the 2-inch chrome cast point on there like Nick's got and do basically chisel plow work with a vertical tillage tool. Now, think about that. You're taking a tool and equipping it to do not only vertical tillage, but also nutrient application. So vertical tillage is 1, nutrient application is 2, and then heavy duty intensive tillage 3. Yes, it's going to take horsepower, but man, there's not another tool on the market that's got that kind of versatility. Now, going back to the leveling package, all I-Series tools come standard equipped with a 3-bar heavy-duty half-inch tine harrow and heavy-duty 14-inch rolling basket. Now, our harrows are industry known for being heavy-duty, and they are tough. And I tell you that they're half of the machine. Yes, the 5-inch spacing and 7.5-inch spacing is all great, but what really finishes off the field and allows our I-Series tools to be so well liked in the ag community by people that own them is that harrow and rolling basket package. These are equipped with the standard harrow. It's all mechanical. But when you go to the I-2200, you can get the optional hydraulic rolling basket and hydraulic tine adjust on the 2200 from the factory. And that's only available on the 2200 series. Can't talk enough about these tools. Just like I said, you know, they come standard with 305 22.5 truck tires and 16,000 pound hubs on the 2200s, because we are dealing with bigger, more robust coils, as I pointed out to you with my example here on my impact sockets. This is a standard Coulter 1, and this is the 2nd generation Super Coulter 2, 1.25 inch, 1 5/8. So there's a lot more weight, a lot more metal in the frame, still using the same 4x6 tubing construction, but thicker wall, heavier duty, because it's not only going to do the tillage, but it's also going to accept the accessories and options like the switchblade shanks. So I know I covered a lot of ground here. I appreciate you guys being patient and sticking with me, but it's been something that's really near and dear to my heart and Salford Group as a company's heart, because these units, they're our flagship units. That's what began it all, was Salford plows, Salford field cultivators, and then what really broke us out into the North American market as far as the United States is concerned was the 570 RTS. I mean, that's what made our reputation. And these tools, even though they're several generations down the road from the 570, they carry a lot of similarities with Grandpa. And you know, the Coiltech Coulter, first generation, and then the Super Coiltech in the 2200s, you know, it all derived from that technology that began with the early RTS developments and production. I hope that we kind of clarified things a little bit. As always, you know, feel free to reach out to Salford Group or your local Salford dealer. Get on our website at salfordgroup.com. Plug in your zip code at our dealer locator or call the toll-free number and feel free to reach out to us. And they'll put you in contact with your local territory rep like me. He might be a little cleaner, might not be quite as dirty, but he's a good guy, I guarantee you that. Thank you once again, and this is Keith Belt, the Dirty Salford rep, playing in the dirt, having fun, and always remember, God made dirt, dirt won't hurt. Have a great day, folks. See you, bye.